Hey everybody, it is time for office hours, and we're going to talk about how to finish the project here. I think we basically have it. Checking, does the plot thicken? Well, let's go in. We're at the 2:23 mark. And let's put most important, getting all the points. Okay. Throw the hair around. So this is how to get all the points on the project. And you're wondering, did I get all the points for these sections? I want to tell you how the graders grade these. They literally go to the rubric. So they're going to go to the rubric and they're going to be checking these boxes. Now, you can always debate, especially if you email your instructor or someone and be like, I think I got the points here. Let us know if you think you got the points, because this is how they grade it. Did you submit it early? They're going to click that button right there if you submit it early. I don't think that's clicking it for everybody. Let's hope not. Did you take a random sample? So you need to take 500 plus the last two of your UTID. If you're not doing that throughout the assignment, then you will lose those 5 points. Executive summary, we'll talk more about that in a little bit here, but you can see right here with the executive summary tasks, it's clear who you're writing for. That'll be in the first few sentences. The next thing is you're giving the results. Now, this is where a lot of people lose points. I want you to be taking a look at how you're graded on this. You have to give numeric backing. And it's very common for me to say to students, you didn't give any numeric backing, which is like the difference between, we found that more people like pepperoni pizza, or we found that compared to cheese pizza, pepperoni pizza is ordered 2 times as much. Notice there's a 2 times as much right there, or 40% more. So you're actually giving the numeric backing. Something like haircuts at Hair Salon B, which I'm probably in the need of, cost $5 more than haircuts at Hair Salon A on average, versus haircuts at B cost more. You need to give the numeric backing, like by how much, which is things you find throughout the report. So a very common error right there. Action item is clear. Sometimes people say things like, we should increase prices. It's like, well, how? You need to be very clear. If you do not elaborate, you'll lose points. I think that's the most common thing here, that people just don't elaborate on their action item. It's just like, we need to do something, make it like, because Hair Salon B makes more money, we should figure out ways to advertise Hair Salon A more in the local newspaper. We're going to be taking out a full page ad that goes over the greatness of Hair Salon A. Like, there's the action item, because we're not making as much money there, or whatever it is. So you're figuring out from the results what you're going to do. It needs to be very clear, connected to the report, as in your results. Here we are. What is the context of a success? You need to clearly state that. We're looking over just the rubric right now. If you're looking at your report, did you clearly say what a success is? I would just flat out say it. A success in my example is if somebody went to Hair Salon A. Like, that's what it is. You're just defining it. A lot of people might write that now. A success for my data will be this. You can't lose the points if you don't make it clear. You need to be very clear. The success is this level, which is, maybe we're analyzing Hair Salon A versus Hair Salon B. I'm just making a fake data right now. Make it very clear. One sample Z bar chart, all components are displayed. You're talking about like access titles, data tables, chart titles, things like that are included. You can see one or more is missing. You're going to lose a point. If you're missing more than one issue with the visualization or interpretation. And since this is a bar chart, you need to talk about the counts of the observations. Like Hair Salon A had 50 visitors, where Hair Salon B had 40 visitors. Screenshots. This is a huge thing. Huge, huge thing. Let me put this as a thing. Most important, you need amazing screenshots. Okay, so let me bring up a graphic right here. And I promise you, these things I'm about to mention are not uncommon. Okay, good. We have one of our reports earlier. Okay, so here's one of our reports. These are good screenshots. Now, they're not all filled out. We still could do some filling out of this, but you can notice that we have the access titles, we have the counts, and the screenshot is very clear. What you want to avoid, let me see what data I have open. That's just schedules. Oh, do I still have my project data? My project data. I'll make a bad screenshot here. Bad screenshot. Okay. So a bad screenshot is going to be if you take something like average temp, turn it into a histogram, insert, throw a histogram on here. Histogram. Why does it put it all the way up there? I think it's because of the thing. There it is. There's the histogram. I hate that it does that. And if your screenshot, if you do things like that right there, and that's your screenshot, oh, no, no. That is not a good screenshot. We do not want to see screenshots like this. Now, if you get a screenshot like this, it can be edited. You can just click the picture, go to picture format, crop, just click the picture, grab the bars right here and bring it in. Make sure you don't delete any parts of the data. This screenshot is not complete. It does not have axis titles, not fill chart title. It does not have, you don't need data table for this one. This is a histogram. And so you want to clean up your screenshots. You don't have to put the shadows and stuff that I sometimes do. It doesn't hurt to do it, but make sure your screenshots look nice. They're not like of the full screen. Make them appropriate size and never change a screenshot by grabbing this. It destroys the aspect ratio. Whenever you're changing a screenshot, I think a lot of people know this, always grab the corners to maintain the aspect ratio, which is like the dimensions of the picture. So you grab the corner right there and that maintains aspect ratios. I think there is a thing that can change that, but we don't want to change that. So just don't like grab that and do that. That'll change your aspect ratios. Okay, so that's a lot of good stuff right there. Let's continue back on to how to get all the points. This is the most important part here. I'm trying to mention everything I can. I want you to get all the points. I want you to look at the rubric and say, what button would the grader click? Did I take a good screenshot or a bad one? The 3 conditions for the Z interval, I'm not going to tell you them here, but you should clearly state, and if I was doing this, I'd put like random. No, there's one of them. And it's this or it's not this because of this. I would clearly explain. 10%, those are the first 2. Random, 10%. And then the third one is probably going to be something like either success, failure, or it's going to be nearly normal for this project. I shouldn't have winked on that one, if you get what I'm saying. But make sure you give the 3 conditions, state whether they pass or do not pass, and be very clear, like we pass the success failure because of this, or we don't pass it. Confidence interval, interpret the interval for the success, include the 4 parts. M, blank percent confident that the true blank is contained in the interval, blank to blank. There you go. Explain to the reader the hypothesized value. This is where you're doing 50%. You're testing whether or not it's in the interval. You're saying whether or not you believe it based on the interval. You don't actually get a p-value. You should also kind of explain what the null is. The null is whatever you're testing is equal to 50%. Make sure to do that. One sample Z test result right here. Oh, that's where, I think this is where you talk about the hypothesized value. So we should have been a little more clear in what this is. Long description. Oh, there we go. It is there. The hypothesize of a does not equals, like, what does it mean that you're doing a does not equals test? So when you do a does not equals test, the null is that it is equal to that value. The alternative is that it's not equal to that value. So you need to figure out a way to phrase that for the context of what you're working on. Like the company believes this, but we're testing to see if it's not this, just make sure to use those values. The test is done. There is no p-value for this because we're using the confidence interval to run it. This is chapter 16, I believe, where we talk about it. Chapter 15 might also talk about it a little bit, but you can use a confidence interval to run the test. If it's in the interval, you don't reject it. If it's not in the interval, you do reject the value. So there we go. One sample T visualization, all components are displayed and interpreted. So make sure when you're doing your one sample T, because this should be, I want to make sure I perfectly explain what we're doing here. Create a histogram as instructed with appropriate title and interpretation. I was like, it should. Oh, the visualization. Should have just said histogram. So that is the histogram right there that you need to make. Make sure to include the title. You shouldn't need counts. I don't like the counts on it because, I mean, it's not the end of the world. But make sure you have the axis titles, the chart title, and of course this time it goes in a little more detail on exactly what you need, but make it a good screenshot too. Appropriate screenshot, once again, don't take bad screenshots. One sample T, center, and spread. This is where people lose points because they'll mention the mean, the median, the IQR, and the standard deviation. You have to look at the shape of your data, and this data is mostly unimodal, slightly uniform. You see how it's a little flat on top? So I've described the shape of it, and because this data is mostly uniform, unimodal, not really skewed, I would use mean and standard deviation respectively. When you interpret mean and standard deviation, or mean and IQR, median and IQR, if it's skewed or outliers, make sure you don't just say, as the project says, the mean is this. You want to say the average of whatever you're talking about is this, and then give the value. The standard deviation would represent a typical deviation away from the mean. Things typically deviate from the mean by this, which is the measure of standard deviation. The median is the 50th percentile. So you don't just say the median is 19. You say the 50th percentile of temperatures. And once again, you'd run the data analytics to do this. You wouldn't say the median is 19. You would say the 50th percentile of temperatures is 19. If the IQR is something like 13 to 23, I'm being nice because 13 to 23 is a range of 10. You don't just say the IQR is 10. you say the range of the middle 50% of temperatures goes from 13 to 23, which is a range of 10. So don't just say the IQR is 10. And let's go down here. Create the interval right here, one sample T confidence interval screenshot. So with the creation of your interval, make sure to have some nice output like we've been doing. We've been using a lot of the old data analytics assignments to do this. So once again, check out the previous videos where I do this. This is the confidence interval for p hat. And then here's the confidence interval down here where we created it using the margin of error of 0.87. We could also recall it. It says confidence level 90%. Once again, don't do it 90% because once again, I do things a little bit differently from mine. And then I called it 95 for some reason. Make sure to use the right percentages and be consistent. And so show your interval, show your output. The three conditions for the Z, oh, it says Z. Oh, I should say T interval. So this is a T interval because it's Mr. T, who's mean if you're doing drugs. And with this being the T interval, condition 1, random, condition 2, 10%, and now you're picking between success, failure, and nearly normal. So success, failure is for proportions, nearly normal is for quantitative data. I'll leave it at that. So make sure to clearly explain whether they pass or fail. Just be very clear. The nearly normal condition or the success failure condition states this, and we pass it or fail it because of this. One sample T confidence interval interpretation. I am blank percent confident that the true blank is contained in the interval, lower to upper technically, not upper to lower, do lower to upper. So make sure to fully interpret that right there. Make sure to give the context of whatever you're talking about. Side-by-side box plots, screenshot of the side-by-side box plot 5-number summary. So make it nice, make it neat, give a good screenshot. Some people, I don't know if it's Macs are having more issues with this. To make a side-by-side box plot, you need to go in here and select your categorical variable, hold Control, and then select your quantitative variable. Go to Insert, and we do this slower on other videos, but I'm just kind of showing the steps a little bit here. And then you want to click under the quantitative and go to box and whisker. And for some reason, see, mine does this. Other people's are showing every point, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because there's outliers. So actually, you know what? Let me choose a more skewed data set and see if more skewed data, wind speed might have more of a skew to it. Maybe that was the issue. So I'm going to try to replicate the problems people are having. Okay, there are outliers now. So what I'm hoping is with the 5-number summary, it doesn't give those points up there. It looks like it is going to do it. So this looks to be what a lot of people are going to see, because now when we go to add data labels, it's going to add in more than the 5-number summary. It's marking every outlier. And we can right now, we can format the data labels and put value. And after selecting value, we did this a few times yesterday, go to number and go to number there. Look at those. We remember the steps. And then we go here and increase font size to make it bigger. If you really wanted, you could probably go here. Can I select just this one and delete these out? So now we're removing out. And that's the highest point that's not an outlier. That is not Q3 right there. So technically, if you have a whole bunch, this would be very painful to do. So you technically could do that with only a few. It's not too hard. And then you could change the fill to something easier to see through to see the mean. And these are mostly symmetric with a little bit of right skew. So make your graphics look really nice. Make them easy to read. I do not think, and I'll talk to Terry about this, I don't think we should be counting off. You have a bunch of numbers there. There might be a way to select a bunch at once, but this is now the 5-number summary. If you have more outliers, it is going to put a dot at every outlier, including the top of the whiskers. So it does the 5-number summary plus every point, which they should just have a thing to do 5-number summary. So kind of a little bit of a bummer. Okay. The nature of the relationship. A lot of people have asked about this. What do we mean by the nature of the relationship? Well, we're comparing right here working day versus not working day and temperature. There doesn't, we'll call it, yeah, I think it is temp. There's not really much of a difference right here. There's just a high outlier. You can compare. Let me start drawing on the screen. When you think about what to compare of the nature of the relationship, we just want someone to walk us through what do you see. Compare the maxes to each other. Compare the Q3s, which are very similar. Compare the Q1s, which are very similar. Compare the medians, which are very similar. Compare the Q1s, which are very similar. Compare the IQRs, which that one has a little bit bigger of an IQR. Compare the ranges. The range is a measure of spread. The other ones are more measure of center or positions, like the min is a position. So you want to think about how do these how are they similar? How are they different? You want to quote the numeric values, like the median of the working day temperature is 12.12, which is only a tiny bit higher by 0.16 from the median of not working day. So you want to make sure you give the numeric values and actually interpret it right there. Correct variables chosen to create a pivot chart. So when you create your pivot chart, you need to use two categorical variables and a quantitative. So make sure right here with your pivot chart, you're actually inserting two categorical variables and a quantitative. The quantitative is going to go into the values. And you see it right here. It looks like we're missing a lot of data for certain days of the week. So actually, of course, because it's confounded within it. So let's remove day as a variable. And let's go here. That's better. And now we're not missing the data. I like to change my decimals. We go through this slower in the other video. That's font size. I like to change my decimals before making it. And then we just go to pivot table, pivot chart. Your pivot chart should look something like this. If it doesn't, there's been a problem. Make sure to add in things like data labels and data tables, but you need the right variables, and that's what it's talking about right here. And then you need to make sure to add in all the extra accoutrements. So make sure you've got what we want right there. Provide chart provided with the elements. Sounds good. So make sure to have all that stuff we just talked about. That's what that's talking about there. The write-up of the pivot chart needs to be accurate. If you look at this right here, what we really see, this is a working day, I think, week part. That's week part. High walk-up demand, if there was high walk-up demand, which, interestingly, high walk-up demand is not always related to more temperature. I did temperature as the... So if you look, the average... Oh, I do have one problem. I'm going a little quick. It should be average temperature. There we go. There's the average temperature. And you can see that high walk-up demand is actually more related to higher temperatures. And it looks to be the weekend, generally, weirdly enough, has lower average temperatures. And it's usually when there's higher walk-up demand, the temperature is higher. There's a difference here of, you can see a difference of 6, a difference of 6.1. You can find the differences. Yeah. Oh, that's a big difference. That's the biggest difference. I'd comment the biggest difference is on the weekend versus the no high walk-up demand and the high walk-up demand between the temperature of a difference of about 8.9 degrees. So, just walk someone through this, solve your math, or that's 10.9. I can't even math today. So make sure to walk someone through this. Make sure to have the right variables. Make sure you're doing average and two categorical variables. It should look something like this. Okay, we're almost to the end of the project here. And let's do checking your regression write-up and making sure you did regression right. Most important, did you do regression right? Okay. So did you do the regression correctly? First off, when you do a regression, it needs to be two quantitative variables. Please check out the video from yesterday where we did the regression. I'm just going to make a nice and quick one right here. To make a quick regression, you do need two quantitative variables. Really? Go away. And we're just going to grab two quantitative variables. Should never do on the screen. Grabbing two quantitative variables right here goes to insert, and then we go to the scatter plot. And there, and it's basically, this is like a perfect correlation. I picked two variables like weather and weather or something, effective average temp and average temp. So they're basically the same variable. Once you've added this in right here, you want to click on it. And I think maybe all of them have it now, but you can go to add chart elements and trend line, a linear line. And there's the line. It's hard to see, but you need to click it. And once you've clicked it, right click it and format trend line. Under the format of the trend line, we need to display the equation and the R squared to help understand. And actually, everything but the residuals now you have, and also make your chart look nice, add your axis titles, all this good stuff. Do not forget these things. This is more of a just making sure you understand what we kind of generally want on this. Make sure to fill everything out. So now you want to use the data analytics tool pack to do this and go to the data and here, data analysis. And we want to go to regression. And we found out yesterday that we have to make sure someone showed this trick. Nope. How'd they do the trick? It was like they held, dang it. I can't do it. We're going to do a different vector for the heck of it. You have to select the full vector of data. And actually, you can select the column names. Make sure to select the same data. I'm just grabbing any data. Labels are not technically in the first row right now. So let's actually put the labels by changing this to the first. I do prefer to have the labels there. There we go. And now we want to make sure we get residuals, residual plots. Actually, you don't even need those. You just need the residual plots. And we're not going to look at the normality. Let's go ahead and hit OK. Confidence intervals are not bad too. There we go. And residuals don't look too bad. Little, it's not really an outlier. It's an extreme value. A little bit of heteroscedastic in this. So it's a little bit of plot thickening towards the middle. It gets a little thicker. You can see my regression is statistically significant. And we are predicting, trying to remember what variable I predicted here. But let's say we are predicting demand. Pretending we're predicting the demand. So if we were predicting demand from average wind speed, well, the relationship's actually negative. Ooh, there you go. Look at that negative coefficient right there. So that is actually the slope. And the slope would say, for each 1 mile per hour increase of wind, we expect demand to decrease by 0.935 on average. And so try to remember how to write these out. I'm going to put it in the chat. Mubot's going to talk about the slope here for you. I don't even think he's in the chat. No, he's in the... He might not be awake. For each 1 unit increase in X, we expect Y to increase or decrease by B1 on average. He is in the chat. He is there. Good deal. And then when we do the intercept, when X is equal to 0, we expect Y to equal B0 on average. We don't have to do R squared for this, I don't think. I don't think the assignment has us do it. We'll look over the rubric. But R squared would be blank percent of the variation in Y is explained by the variation in X. It is the multiple R squared right here. And actually, I don't know why they do a multiple. Multiple R. Oh, that's the correlation. This is the R squared. R squared is not correlation. I tell you that all the time. So the R squared is 11.6. 11.6% of the variation in demand is explained by the variation in average wind speed. Just pretending I'm using those two variables. And yeah, so let's take a look at the last little bits here with the regression because we're almost done. Then we're going to talk over the executive summary and future research. So the last parts of this right here, you know, did you use the right variables, 2 quantitative variables? Do you have your scatter plot? So make sure your scatter plot is nice and easy for people to see. Provide all required information in the regression output. So you need to use the tool pack, which we showed right here, and make this, you can make it look nice, but make sure to have the output needed. Appropriate screenshot of the residual plot taken, which is just right over here. You can see a little bit of plot thickening. It's not really an outlier, it's just an extreme X point. And all 4 conditions, QQ straight enough, no outliers, plot doesn't thicken. So make sure to mention the conditions, whether they pass or fail on the QQ straight enough, no outliers, plot doesn't thicken. Don't write other conditions. If you're writing like homoscedasticity, heteroscedasticity, independence of residuals, normality of residuals, those are things you can check. They are, but we go by the QQ straight enough, no outliers, plot doesn't thicken. So make sure to use those. Correct value reported and interpreted for the slope. The slope coefficient is going to be right here. That is the slope coefficient. So make sure to report and interpret that. For each 1 unit increase in X, we expect Y to decrease or increase by B1 on average. Make sure to do it in context of the problem. Next one right here. The y-intercept, when X is equal to 0, we expect Y to equal B0 on average. So the y-intercept is going to be in your output right there. There's the y-intercept value. You can round these values too, make them easier. When the average wind speed is 0, we expect the demand of bikes to be 74.57 on average. That would be my interpretation. When X is equal to 0, we expect Y to equal B0 on average. And then we have statistical significance, which is the significance of the slope. So that's going to be right there. And since my p-value is well below 0.05, this is scientific notation for 0.00000, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. So that's the scientific notation right there for that. You can see if I click it, there it is. So that is an extremely tiny p-value. That is ridiculously small. I guess I could, oh, does it scientifically. But this number right here is well below 0.05, so the slope is statistically significant. We have evidence there is a relationship. So now let's talk about executive summary and future research. I think AI reflection, as long as you're thoughtful, just be thoughtful. Just do that. Let's go over the executive summary now. Let's say acing the executive summary. Executive summary. Executive summary. Acing it. Okay. How do we ace the executive summary? What I would do is, I can click him over here. I'd go over to Mubot. I would talk to Mubot about this. Do not upload personal things to any AI. Do not do that. Go over to Mubot here. Mubot is over 1,000 chats. I think if you keep a chat open with Mubot, it doesn't register new chats. But we have over 1,000 chats with Mubot. And we're going to go take a look right here. I'm going to see about the AI. Does it show how many chats? It used to show me how many chats. Let me take a look here. Someone only gave Mubot a 4. And someone's like 4 stars, Mubot. He's probably given some wrong answers. He has given some wrong answers. And so if you can't find Mubot, he is here in the chat now, literally and figuratively. And he has a 4.0, 1K plus conversations. So he's had quite a few. And you could say, I want to upload my project and have you help me with my executive summary. You should say project mode or something right here. I made them with 3 different modes. So sometimes you'll even say like turning to this mode, project coach mode. So, hey, Trinity. Yeah, Trinity, I can look over that. Email me and I'll look over it. Good to see you, Trinity, in the chat. Yeah, email me and I'll look over it. Let's try this. You ready for this? Watch this. Here is my executive summary. Tell me what I got wrong. In my student data, I found out that students generally... Oh, wait. Yeah, he should say you didn't introduce it. You didn't, let's say, I found out that students generally think they are more attractive than other students. I found out students generally are female. I found out. Okay. So what Mubot should point out here, and I hope, if Mubot's doing awesome work, he's going to say, 1, you didn't introduce the company. 2, you didn't give numeric backing. 3, you didn't give an action item. What are my 3 biggest ways I'll lose points with this? Okay, once again, we're hoping the answers are, because if he's really awesome, you didn't introduce the data, you didn't give numeric backing, you didn't give an action item. What's he say? Here's a test, Mubot. Here's the test. Here's a test. Eat my Quest cookie. Thinking really hard on this. Look at who it's for. Look right there. Literally didn't talk about who it's for. Good catch, Mubot. Didn't catch who it's for. Next, is he going to say new numeric backing? Boom! I'm loving this. I mean, this is all right, but I'm happy more. Okay, Mubot. Can you go 3 for 3, Mubot? This is what I like. This is where Mubot's going to win for us. Come on, Mubot. Let's drop a cookie on my keyboard. Come on, Mubot. Can you do it? Number 3's got to be you didn't give an action item.
Wow.
Come on. It's grading by our rubric. I spent like 20 hours on this, like over the summer. I hope a lot of people have used this tool. It has a lot of our documents. There you go. Yep. That's actually how someone should grade it. I don't know if he has the points exactly right. I don't know if it's 3 points or so. It's not out of 4. I think numeric. We could look. He might have got that wrong. I'm fine if he got the points a little bit wrong, but at least he knows how it's graded. No, it's 3 points. 4 points, 3 points. Look at that. I told you I uploaded all the rubrics to him. Thank you, Trinity. What do you think about that, Trinity? We just found out that Mubot would give this executive summary, which frankly is pretty much how I would grade it. He would give this executive summary down here a 2 out of 10. I mean, that's what I'd do too. I'd be like, well, you wrote something about the results. You didn't tell me who it's for or why it's going on. Nicer graders might give this a 3. I'd say 1 to 3. Like, that's pretty darn close to what our graders should do. So you can don't put your names and stuff in here. Remember, no personal information with Mubot. He's a good robot, but we don't tell him all the personal stuff. So Mubot has clearly explained to you what the rubric is going to grade you on, and can even give you tips about where you didn't give numeric backing, so you're going to lose points. He has all the rubrics uploaded to him, so he can see these things right here. If you went too long or things like that, he should give advice. You can always kind of debate. I'd be happy if you said, hey, Mubot was telling me this, so I changed it around and I lost a point because I was going to do this and he told me to do this and I was listening to him. There's always variation with grading. So you want to ace the executive summary. What you need to do is the following. 1, who's this project for? Well, it's my hair salon, maybe. This is for the patrons of Brian Stevens Hair Salon. We've been in business for 20 years. And well, I'm talking like this. And this hair salon believes in giving our customers the best value. So we went out and took a sample of 250 customers and found out what they think about our hair salon. Boom. Who's it for? What's going on? Who are we? Part 1 done. We found out from our customers that on average they pay $15.50 for a haircut. I got to shout out Campus Cuts by Monica, great haircut place. She's been around for quite a while, so shouts Campus Cuts by Monica. And so we would, give the numeric backing that on average our customers pay $15.50 per haircut. The average tip per haircut the median tip is $3 with an IQR going from 2 to 10. That's, the middle 50% of tips is anywhere from 2 to 10 because it's probably right skewed data because some people might tip like $20, but that's not it. That's an outlier. So the middle 50% of tips is anywhere from 2 to 10 and IQR of 8. Notice how I'm giving the values in my write-up. They might care about tips and stuff. Like if I was a hair salon person, I'd be like, I want some tips. And next, you need to give the action item because I'm making up fake things right here. Since we found a relationship between free snacks and getting better tips, it is imperative that the free snacks are always stocked so that people can have some nice squirt drinks or things like that to drink and enjoy while they're getting their haircut. Because we know the happiness of our hair salon specialists is tied to getting good tips. So we are advising a rush order of snacks to make sure we always got them. Think about how this is like what you're going to do. So that is the executive summary. Let's do this. I'm going to try a future research with Mubot here. So 3453. Future research. Acing it. And how are we going to ace the future research? We're going to use Mubot 2. So once again, make sure you have Mubot going right here. And the future research has a lot less it's graded on. So I'm going to try to write a kind of bad future research that should get like 2 out of 5. We can look over the points. We're going to see the rubric. I know the rubric. It needs to go into new ideas that go beyond the report, which Mubot, I'm going to try to have Mubot tell me I didn't achieve that. How many points is their future research? Future research, it is out of 5. Okay, look at how you're graded. Either your future research is clear and connected to the report. Future research is given but could be elaborated further. Future research is given but not well connected to the report results. So we're going to try to do this. We're going to try and hit the mark with a 3. We're going to give, but we could elaborate further. Okay, so let's see. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Hey, Maddie. We can do you want to do chapter 15 next? We've got enough time. Have we done chapter 15 homework yet? Or do we need to do homework or quiz, Maddie? Yeah, it looks like I got a big one. I should say I should elaborate too. Yeah, it's not connected to the previous thing. It caught that it's not connected. Yeah. Oh, you do it. Let's do it. I think the future research is just brainstorming. So if you're wondering about future research, it's just coming up with new ideas. It's just like, and it's based on what you analyze. Like if we're analyzing the hair salon, We may have only talked to the customers. We may not have talked to the stylists. So we need to probably talk to the stylists and get data on them to see what they're liking about the hair salon and fix that up. Or maybe we need to analyze the products to see if customers have preferences towards certain products and to help improve our hair salon. We don't have the data on this. We don't know the answers to this. We're not going to make suggestions from this. This is like, what are we going to look into? It's called future research. It's not called let's do something now. It's called how about in the future we consider these ideas. It's kind of a where do we go from here? So once again, I would highly use MuBot for these. Don't put your personal information into MuBot, but you can upload like your report, remove out any personal information, and then do that. Well, Maddie, should we do chapter 15 homework? I think we have enough time. Would that be awesome? Everything is awesome. Let's head over here. I think chapter 15, let's do it. Let's do chapter 15 homework. Chapter 15 homework. We got enough time. Pearson always looks different. Every other day, I'm like, what's going on? I think I'm hallucinating. It's a crazy day. Crazy day with Brian Stevens. Let's do all chapter 15 homework. Get it done. Ooh, finally, I got some decent sleep last night. Decent sleep. That's what we hope for. Chapter 15 homework. I made a mess of the course. They're like chapter 15 copy. Sorry, it says copy. I'm a little afraid to because there's the same name and I don't want to. What's the copy? Okay, let's go do this. Here we go. Okay, this is chapter 15 homework. Let's put it in the video right here. I'm going to put a timestamp right here, 38:53, Stat 201, chapter 15 homework, question 1. So I really love this because, are you ready, Maddie? For 50,000 points, the null always has the what sign. The null always has the what sign. What sign, mathematical symbol does the null always have? The equals, Maddie got that 50,000 points right there. The null always has the equal sign. So the null always has the equal sign, so we got the answer right. Now, when you write the alternative, the only thing you change when you do the alternative is going to be the sign. So maybe they're wondering about, is it greater than? So the alternative hypothesis would just be you simply go down here, and it would be h sub a. So if they're wondering if it's increased, like it's greater than a historic amount or something, you do h sub a. So that could be the null with the equal sign, the alternative. The only thing that changes between these is the sign. So make sure to remember that right there. Between the null and the alternative, you just change the sign towards what the researcher is questioning. So we might see a few more like those, but I love those questions. That was nice and easy. These are nice and fun. I do like these questions. Sometimes I don't like them. I'll always tell you how it is. So when you write a null in this class, I'm taking the note right now. Computer, stop acting weird. 40, 33. When you write a null hypothesis, in this class, I always use this structure. The start of a null hypothesis is going to look like this. The null states. Now we need some sort of population parameter, which is some sort of truth. Like right now, there is a true average order at Taco Bell for all people in the United States. Like if you looked at every single order that's ever occurred at Taco Bell, there's a truth to it. What is that truth? We probably will never know it. Taco Bell might. But then over here, we do equals to some hypothesized value. So this is where we put the value we are kind of guessing is true at the moment as holding is true with the null. Remember, the null has the equal sign. And then when it comes to these values that we put in these fields, don't put them all. The values for this class, there are other values, consist of p, mu, and mu1 minus mu2. You haven't heard of this last one yet, but it's the difference between two means, the true means, because mu is true mean. P is true proportion, mu is true mean, and mu1 minus mu2 is true difference between two means. The hypothesized values respective to them is p naught for p, mu naught for mu, and for the difference, we hypothesize often that is 0. It can technically be different, but usually in a lot of statistics, we test if there is or is not a difference, and we hypothesize there is no difference. The hypothesis value is just what you think is true. Like, I don't think there's a difference between the two means. So I hypothesize, I believe that at the moment. Now, when you do the alternative, everything carries over to these parts. As in, if you put P here up top, it would go down bottom. And thus, P naught is the associated value. So whatever you put here also gets put there, just like this. The only thing that changes between the null and the alternative will be the sign. And I am blocking that a little bit. The sign is the only thing that changes between the null and the alternative. So the alternative can have one of three signs: less than, greater than, or not equal to. And this is picked based on the researcher's question. Now, one thing to note is that when you're working with data, proportions are categorical, means are quantitative. And if you're doing the difference between two means, it's also going to be quantitative, but it's across two groups, like group 1, group 2's differences. So let's look at this question right here. Maddie, if you're still here, I only want you to type C or Q in the chat. A casino wants to know if a machine... I have questions about task about the fort. Yeah, okay, put it in the chat. We'll do that. We'll jump over to that. I'll do this question. I'll do the next one. You got it. Drop it in the chat right there. A casino wants to know if the payout of a machine really is 1 in 100. Now, is that category? Yes, because did the machine pay out? So it's P. Don't be tricked by these other things. We're only doing P and mu, which is proportion of payouts. P equals P. And is it really not equal? Because the alternative would be, for some reason, I might. Are you possibly? Can you meet on Discord? Because I might have to see it. I think. Are you on a Mac, Kate? Let me know. And this one is quantitative, so that means it's going to be mu because it's on average, which is a quantitative amount. And that's because it's the mean. Mr. T is mean, mu. And then mu is equal to... Yeah, I've seen this more with Macs. Can you meet on Discord? I might have to meet on people with Discord later. And then they want to know if it's decreased. You know where it says decreased right there? A few Macs have had this issue, and I'm wondering... Are you doing... I think the person had Excel in person. The Discord... Mubot might have it. And I might have to meet later because I'm going to teach here in 25 minutes. The Discord link should be in the chat. And so hop on the Discord. A pharmaceutical company wants to know if the cure rate... There it is. Tell me if those links don't work. Pharmaceutical company wants to know if the cure rate really is 30%. If it's different from... So different means not equal to. And cure rate is proportion of people cured. And the null has the equal sign, and P is proportion. Are you cured or not cured? Are the two columns right next to each other, Kate? Are the two columns... I'm going to try to replicate this problem right for this question. Bank wants to know if people using their website has changed. Using a website is proportion. The people who use a website, like, do you use the website, yes or no? Always think of the way you ask the question, like, did you use the website? So P, once again, the null has the equal sign, and has it changed is not equal. I'm going to try to replicate the problem right here. So we'll do the next one here in a second. But here's me trying to replicate what people have said has been an issue. So they're doing side-by-side box plots, but you separated them? Yeah, you might have emailed me too, because that was my suggestion to one student. So I'm sorry if you emailed and... Okay, so let me try inserting side-by-side box plots on this and see if it does it. It's not the box plots. No, it's doing it. You know what might... yeah, and did I email back? I was replying to emails this morning. Sometimes I try to reply to them as quick as I can, and sometimes I wait a day, and I'm like, oh no, I waited a day. I waited one day. I feel bad when I waited a day. Let's try this, Kate. I'm going to mark this in the video. I'm going to try to fix this another way. You ready? We're going to fix this. Let's get this fixed. 4613 project. Getting those box plots to work. Okay. So I have a separate idea right here. My separate idea is to do it with a pivot chart. I believe it should work. I hope. I know, right? Let's get this to work. Okay, so let's try this. Let's select both things right here. Or let's see if this works. Insert, pivot table. Let's click OK. Now we only have those two vectors selected. Now, what's going to be interesting... No, wait. That's a scatter plot. Don't listen to me yet. We need the categorical and the quantitative selected for side-by-side box plots. Make sure you have a categorical and a quantitative for side-by-side box plots. Pivot tables. Let's do it. And actually, yeah, once we go to pivot charts, let's see this. Wait, why is it saying I can't use... I only have one row selected? There we go. Okay, sure. As long as we have the vectors we need, we're good. So let's go in here because we're analyzing the quantitative variable of high overall demand or something. And then we go to day. And actually, I think there's a way. Well, day's a lot. Working day. And now let's go to insert pivot chart. And there should be box plots, right? Wait. That's not going to do it. Wait, box and whisker. You can't create this chart type with data inside a pivot table. Well, create box plots with pivot in Excel. Okay, we're going to check. They're using, a lot of people have like programs they use, which is not how we want to do it.
In this tutorial, the second select wire with the first quad to the third.
He's doing it a long way, I think. He's just going to insert.
So we've got some example data.
But you're saying when you do it, so when you try Kate and you just go to insert and it doesn't do it, right? Does it show two it probably shows, what I think I've seen in people's pictures is it shows it all like as one selection. It shows it all as like one big selection. What happens when you do this? Does it show like the purple and the blue? Because if you click this, it should like click the data that it's making from. Yeah, that's what I've seen in people's pictures is it like just shows one big, it doesn't click anything when you, oh, nothing shows, yeah, the plot is blank, right? And I wonder if when we right click it, there's a way to choose, okay, wait, select data. Go up here to select data, do this. You see it's got, okay, so here's what I would do. We might have figured out a way to fix it. Is go click the chart and go to select data. With select data clicked, on the left is your quantitative. So the left is the quantitative value. We're just going to remove this for now. So now my chart is blank. Good. So if your chart is blank, let's hope this works. We're going to click the chart and go to select data. With this selected right here, we're going to go to add and we're going to select the quantitative value by clicking right there. I think it did it. Then we are going to go to edit. Okay, good. Please work. I think we're very close. Very close. Select name. Select values. It might be because, you know what it might be? The select values might have got mad because I put the first value in there. So I think it's mad about the first value. Oh, no. Look. It did it. So try this. That did it right there. That didn't do that. That got, oh, that did it. Oh, see, there's the high walk up to him, man. We need to remove that. This needs to be removed out. Okay. So I think we got it. So here's how you do it. You go to select data, and then when you go to add right here, the name of the series is just whatever the series name is. And then when you select the values, we're selecting from J, select all the values. You might have to do like this right here. So select the values right there. And then when you select the horizontal, don't select the name too. So that's a problem, is you want to go to edit, and then you want to select the no's and yeses right here, and then click that, and then click OK. And I think that did it. And then the problem we're going to run into is it's going to put all the values on there. So it's going to do a huge 5-number summary on this. Oh no, that's so horrendous. Can we? Man, there's things Excel just. Oh my gosh. That's not fair, because now the values. Ah! The 5-number summary is going to be that's the problem here. So what it was it saying, Kate, now? Let me see if there's a better way to add the 5-number summary. Add 5-number summary. We don't want to include the outliers though. Go to a random video. Oh, you didn't have the same thing pop up? Oh no. Yeah, I might have to see it. It's very weird to me. See, the easiest thing is when you just have the 2 series. Make sure to click the 2 at the top, and then go to insert, and then box plots, and then that's got right there. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. And then I'm looking at a bunch of things.
Connectors. You would want a data set. You can use this.
Do you have any other in-person officer? Yep, tomorrow morning. Yep, swim guide tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And it adds the mean and all that. And we were working with that right there. You need to make this a little bit lighter on the fill. So yeah. That's crazy right there, right? I don't know. Yeah, if you want to... Yeah, like, I think I could fix it in person. And I don't know if it's just... I think my Mac... I don't know, maybe it's a Mac issue. Because I think a few people have had it occur on Macs. But, yeah. I'm sorry, Kate. It's sorry. What sign? Yeah, awesome. Perfect. We'll get it fixed up. Just do the rest. Interpreting the box plots, you just compare the values. What sign does the null have? The equal sign. Yeah. Oh, let's do that. Thank you, Maddie, for still being here. Let's do question 8, part E. Okay, so we're going to do question 8, then we're probably going to head off. We got 14 minutes. So let's do this right here. Maddie, did you get the whole thing done except question 8? Maddie, that's awesome. Maddie's just been crushing through this assignment in the background here. Okay, question 8. We're going to do all this. I'll go a little bit quickly since you're here and you've been doing some great work. So writing the null hypothesis. The null has the equal sign. You know it. You love it. The null's got the equal. The alternative is the evidence-based claim, which is either less than, greater than, or not equal to. Has marriage age increased, which means we're going with the greater than alternative. Very important to know that the way you shade the curve is based on the sign. We're going to be shading to the right of the curve. Next, they talk about independence, which is the randomization condition. It's probably satisfied. Nearly normal, since we have a sample size of how many? 40. As long as it's not heavily skewed, can be reasonably assumed. That's nearly normal via large enough n. Because the data is probably, or is it going to say, we don't know the shape of the data. We have a decent sample size. We don't know the shape of the population. Our sample size is kind of large. So the model should be okay to use. Good deal. And now we're doing the t-test right here. So we have to find the right equation. All of these are the right equation. The sample mean minus the hypothesized over the standard error, where mu naught is the hypothesized value of 23.3. And the standard error is s over square root of n. So it's square root of n and then we just solve out whatever that is. And the degrees of freedom are 39 because n minus 1, and this is the hypothesized mean. Mu naught is the hypothesized mean. The men in our sample, this is the sample mean with a standard deviation of this, resulting... They give us the t-statistic? What? So you'd literally plug this in, subtract, and get a difference of 1.1, and divide by s over square root of n. So you would take 40 square root and do s over square root of n, and you do 1.1, because that's 24.4 minus 23.3, and get that value over on the right. So try plugging in the numbers to this equation to make sure you can do it. So this p-value, wait, I can do it. I can do it. I can get it. I'm so close. I'm so close to the right answer. Okay, 3 decimals. I can do this. Okay. Oh, I get 2 guesses. Oh, okay, so we have to go to the t-distribution. To go to the t-distribution, we go here to the t-distribution. We have to type in 39 degrees of freedom, and we're doing a greater than test, and we put in the t-statistic. Did you get this part right here, Maddie, where you go to the t-distribution? You are going to find the p-value using the t. The t-value is 1.313, and we're going above, and really? Oh, 39 degrees of freedom. There we go. Something seems off in my head. Oh, round. 39 degrees of freedom. So I was pretty close. I said 1.02. And if I had just put in 1 or 10%, I would have got... No. Well, I wouldn't have got it. I was very close in my guesses. I don't want to elaborate on how I was doing those guesses. You should just put in the number it gives you. It'll give you the right number, and you can even round it to the right amounts. I did a very harsh round on that, and it's like, no. You have to be very correct. So my guesses were pretty darn close to the right number. But make sure you put in the right number. Getting choked up. Explain what this p-value means. The p-value is the probability of our results, or results more extreme, happening by random chance variation given that the null is true. So this p-value here is the probability of seeing 24.4 or higher given the truth of 23.3. So it'd be the probability of getting a sample mean of 24.4, which is the observed results, the probability of our observed results, or something more extreme from sampling variation, given that 23.3, which is the truth, that null is true. So the p-value is always the probability of our... What did I do wrong? I said or younger. So 24.4 or older, because the alternative is greater than. So I misclicked. The other one was me having fun. That was a misclick with 10 minutes to go. So I hope... Is this helping out, Maddie? Is this making sense? If you got the p-value, good job on that. A lot of people have trouble with the p-value with the app. But you just want to make sure you shade in the right direction, put in the t-statistic, and do all that right there. What is our conclusion? The p-value is high, just let the null fly. So we do not reject the null. There is not evidence that the age is greater than. We do not have evidence for that alternative. So there we go. Man, I missed a part on one of my favorite questions, but that's got it. We've done some good work right here. It's a big day for me. We're gonna check out about some building projects. No worries. See you Monday. We're going to see them on Monday. Announces the cohort. Cool. The big cohort going on. Well, until then, bye for now, everyone. Bye.